Chapter 1. The royal palace of Geron was ancient, older than the kingdom itself. Built with white marble, veined with silver, and guarded by statues so lifelike they seemed to breathe, it stood at the heart of the capital like a silent sentinel. Yet despite its beauty, it carried a strange reputation. People whispered that the palace listened. Servants spoke of footsteps in empty corridors, of candles lighting themselves, and of a low humming sound beneath the marble floors, almost like a heartbeat. But only one person believed these whispers deeply. Prince Arion, heir to the throne. Arion was intelligent, curious, and stubborn, dangerously so. Where others saw walls, he saw secrets. Where others saw danger, he saw adventure. He had grown up in this palace, learning its corridors, its libraries, its rooftops. And he knew one thing with certainty. There was something hidden inside it. Something no one was meant to find. Chapter 2. One rainy evening, while lightning cracked across the sky, Arion discovered something unusual inside the palace library. A book. Not just any book. It was burnt on the edges, half destroyed, and covered in strange symbols. When he opened it, ash fell out. On the last remaining page, drawn faintly in charcoal, was a map. But it wasn't a map of the kingdom. It was a map of the palace itself. And at the very center of the map was a marking. The door that should never be opened. Arion's heart thumped. A secret door. Inside the palace. Exactly what he had always suspected. But who drew this? Why was it burnt? Why hide such a map? He copied it quickly, folded the new map, and hid it inside his coat. From that moment, he knew. He must find the door. Chapter 3. The next morning, as Arion walked toward the eastern wing, he met old Jorah, the palace caretaker. Jorah was nearly 90, with trembling hands and foggy eyes, but his memory was sharper than any sword. Going exploring again, Your Highness? He asked quietly. Arion froze. How did you know? Jorah leaned closer, voice low. Because the palace wakes when you wander, and last night, it was restless. What do you mean? Jorah hesitated, then sighed. There are things inside this palace that should remain hidden. There are doors built for protection, not curiosity. Arion's pulse quickened. You know about the door. The old caretaker's face went pale. You must never open it. Arion stepped closer. Why? Jorah swallowed hard. Because that door does not protect the palace from what lies beyond it. It protects the world from what lies inside it. And without another word, he walked away, leaving Arion with twice as many questions. Arion tightened his grip on the map. He wasn't turning back. Chapter 4. The map led him through forgotten corridors, dusty stairwells, and locked hallways no one used anymore. He moved silently, avoiding guards, listening to every whisper of the palace. Hours passed. Thunder rumbled outside as Arion reached the northernmost part of the palace. A place so old that the walls were cracked, the torches broken, and the air thick with dust. The map showed a long corridor ending in a blank wall. No door. No entrance. Just stone. Arion frowned. This must be it. He pressed his palm against the wall. Cold. Smooth. Dead. But the map was clear. There was a door here. He lit a candle, held it close, and noticed faint markings on the wall. Almost invisible. Symbols. The same symbols drawn inside the burnt book. His heart pounded. He traced them with his fingers. And then the impossible happened. The wall trembled. A soft glow appeared. Lines of light spread outward like cracks. A shape formed. A tall arch. A door. A door made of marble and silver veins. It had no handle. No keyhole. Just a single carving. Only the blood of the royal may enter. Arion swallowed hard. Blood. He pressed his thumb against the carving. A sharp sting. A drop of blood touched the marble. And the entire door slid open with a deep, ancient growl. Chapter 5. A cold wind rushed out. For a moment, the torches flickered violently, then died. Arion stepped inside, relighting one torch. The passage was narrow, long, and carved entirely of black stone. Strange carvings covered the walls. Monsters, battles, a man holding a glowing orb, a woman with wings of fire. It wasn't just a secret passage. It was a story, a history no one knew. As Arion walked, he realized the carvings were gradually changing, telling the tale of a great war between humans and something else. Something not human. At the very end of the passage was another door, smaller, older, cracked. He pushed it open. And what he saw made his breath catch. Chapter 6. It was a vast underground chamber illuminated by glowing blue crystals. At its center stood a stone platform, and on it lay an object wrapped in chains of silver. A black orb, pulsing, alive. Arian stepped closer cautiously. The orb pulsed faster. Thump, thump, like a heartbeat. A whisper echoed through the chamber. Who enters? Arian froze. The voice wasn't human. It came from everywhere, yet nowhere. He gathered his courage. I am Prince Arian of Jaren. Who are you? The whisper grew clearer. I am what your ancestors feared, and what they imprisoned. The orb vibrated violently. Arian stumbled back. What are you? A pause. And then, I am the Shadowbound, the last of the Forgotten Ones. Arian had never heard those words, but the carvings on the walls flashed in his mind. The war between humans and those creatures. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from behind him. Arian spun around. Someone else was in the chamber. Chapter 7. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Dressed in royal clothing. Wearing the crest of the kingdom. A man Arian knew well. Lord Veros, his father's most trusted advisor. Arian's shock turned into anger. What are you doing here? Veros smiled darkly. Finishing what your ancestors started, and what they failed to end. He stepped toward the orb with a look of wicked hunger. This power belongs to me. Arian blocked him. That thing is dangerous. Veros' voice became venomous. Dangerous. No. Powerful. Powerful enough to control kingdoms. The chamber trembled. The orb pulsed harder, feeding on Veros' greed. Arian shouted. Stop. You don't understand what you're releasing. Veros raised his hand, and a knife appeared, aimed straight at Arian. You were never meant to find this door. But now, I cannot let you leave alive. He lunged. Arian dodged. They struggled near the stone platform. The orb pulsed violently, cracks forming across its surface. The whispering voice screamed, I am awakening. Veros kicked Arian to the ground and grabbed the orb. Finally, all this power is mine. The orb shattered. A shockwave blasted through the room. Dark mist exploded outward. Veros screamed as it consumed him. Arian shielded his face. When the mist cleared, Veros was gone. Completely gone. Not a trace. The chamber shook violently. The whisper returned. Stronger. You have unleashed me. Arian's heart pounded with terror. He ran toward the exit as the chamber collapsed behind him. Chapter 8. The ground rumbled. Cracks tore across the walls. The glowing crystals shattered, plunging everything into darkness. Arian sprinted through the narrow passage, dust falling like rain, stones dropping around him. The whisper chased him. You cannot run. Royal blood, you opened the door. You freed me. Arian burst out into the palace corridor just as the secret door sealed shut behind him with a thunderous boom. The wall returned to normal. Silent. Still. Like nothing had ever happened. Arian collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. But the danger wasn't gone. A cold, unnatural wind swept through the corridor. Lights flickered. Shadows shifted. Something had escaped that chamber. Something old. Something powerful. Something hungry. Arian whispered. What have I done? Chapter 9. The palace was no longer safe. The kingdom was no longer safe. Arian stood slowly, gripping the burnt map tightly. He knew what he had to do. Find out what the Shadowbound was. Stop it. Before it destroyed everything. The story of the secret door was no longer a mystery or an adventure. It was now a war. A war only he could fight. And his journey had just begun.